Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I'm a trained government trained remote viewer, also trained in interspecies communication, which is going to be real important really soon. All my psychic abilities have been trained and statistically studied. I'm considered a prophet, but I am going to remind you that the future is elastic and plastic, and prophecy is to tell you where you're going to end up if you continue on the same path. Prophecy is a warning, it's not events set in concrete. So remember that the next time somebody says, so and so said 200 years ago, a lot of what was said, such as this last pope was going to be, that just passed, was going to be the last pope. No more. We have another pope. So we have already 1 foot in the golden age. We have done part of our ascension process. So no matter how bad things get, you already basically won. Now we're trying to lift the vibration of the planet so a lot more people can get on board having to do with ascending to a frequency where things are so much easier. But how did I get from being a government trained remote viewer to doing this type of thing? I chose, before I incarnated, to be placed in a where I could get the maximum amount of metaphysical other dimensional information, which was not in a monastery in Tibet, and it was not uh, as a governmental power. It was a military mind control program. And from there, they sent me to Tibet for a year to acquire a lot of the skills that I'm sharing today. We're doing horoscopes, June 16th to the 22nd, 2025. Um, a lot of you don't believe in astrology. That is not an issue. But a person who is intelligent today has a very wide lens because for 5,000 years, the Mayans, the Bible, we're going into a different cycle. And as the Mayans said, the world is going to be, the world that we knew won't exist any longer. So if you have a very narrow lens, you basically are going to get stuck with the old world, which is not fun. So widen your lens. Astrology. Oh, I don't believe in astrology because the stuff never comes out. The planets have different energies, they have consciousness, and they send it to support your intentions in this incarnation. But you may not be ready. There are two major things that block the good stuff in astrology that's supposed to come to you because you're a Leo, because you're a Capricorn. Two things. One is black magic. They can completely deviate your destiny, and they deviate all the good stuff that the planets try to send you. And the other one is a big childhood trauma that was never resolved in the sense of purifying your reaction to it, and you have a big spirit attached to you. That spirit has an astrological sign, and that trauma, because of the spirit, you're not going to get the benefit of what your particular astrological sign is supposed to be giving you. But where do I get this information from? I'm not an astrologer. I could not do an astrological chart if you put a gun to my head. I don't even, if you told me to list all the planets, I couldn't do that. But I am a remote viewer and I'm a very good psychic. And I'm real good about vitalizing my intentions. My intention is to get you information that's astrological, which means my intention is to get you information that's coming from the planets. But there's another intention mixed in there. That's why you have to pay attention to where you're getting your information from. You have to make sure you're in agreement with that person's philosophies. Because if not, what they're giving you is going through their intentions. So, this first or second intention is I want to help you in your process of evolving spiritually. I do a lot of business consulting because power is in the dimensions that are not physical, which means they're spiritual. So there's a filter there. I don't change information, but the information comes to that. So if you really want to know if that guy is going to ask you to marry him or if you're going to get that job, this is not the place for you. What I will tell you is if you want that guy or that job, want you to do a mantra and purify what would be blocking your intention. Because if that really is your intention, then you're blocked. Let's get to the block. And then your intention flows, particularly if you vitalize it. Because if you just desire it, that's a desire. It has to be an intention. Okay, but let's start. I am going to start with the astrological of three countries today: the United States, Iraq, no, the United States, Israel, and Iran. We were working with the Mideast last night, the Mantrista movement, to reduce the fire, so there'll be less killings, hopefully. We did a very good job this weekend. We did 4 long sessions of hundreds of people, and we put out the fire in the other dimensions in the United States. And definitely, I'm going to count that as a win for the Mantrista movement. There wasn't the fire there. We could explain it by saying, can't explain it. So let's go ahead and start with Israel. What are the energies that I see for Israel this week? Israel is having a wake up call. Israel is requiring that the commanders, the people behind the philosophy that made them decide to go ahead and attack, that they pay attention to the reality on the ground. And if you look at the map of the Mideast, the reality for Israel is a bit daunting. So Israel is in a wake-up call. An illusion has been broken. There's a lot of infighting. And I have to say that if Trump can get to the right people, which is not the people he's been talking to, and it's definitely not the person at the top, if he can get to the right people, this could be stopped. Nobody wanted this. Nobody really expected it. And the intention behind the attack are not what was said. And people have woken up. This whole thing about not being awake, you do want to be awake. We're in Revelations. What you don't want to be, you don't want to decide what you're going to wake up to. What you have to say is, I want to know the truth of the matter. And from there, you can determine whether you continue with that intention or you flow to another place. I'm taking too long on that. Let me backtrack. That's Israel. Wake up call, get to the right people, and this can be stopped. Lots of illusions of grandeur in Israel. So sorry, but that floated in. Iran. Iran is not happy. There's a lot of crying going on. They did not want this. Iran is into something of a spiritual evolution, revolution, evolution, and they're re-examining the basic beliefs of their spiritual beliefs. The rest of the world's not aware of this, and they weren't expecting this. The time was cut short on projects that they have having to do with relationship with the other dimensions. Wow, this is very crazy. I certainly wasn't expecting this. So there's a lot of crying going on, whether they do it publicly or not, because now they have to move away from spiritual development to the worst part of physicality, which is war. Interesting. I was not expecting this. I don't know what I'm going to say when I do these reads. So that's Israel, Iran. I feel bad for Iraq right in the middle of that. The United States. The United States is in a position of power. I know too much, so I need to back off and just get back to my training, which is just to give pure information and not start to think, because then it's not as good. So allow me a second to beat up on myself in the other dimensions for having broken my protocol and having gone into thinking rather than intuition. Give me a second. The United States is in a position to change the entire planet in many different ways, and it's happening already with Trump. There's a sticky point here, and the sticky point is this is a new world. Do you continue to operate with the same assumptions and with the same people? How do you know the people you're operating with are not invaded by spirits? Do you really know what their intentions are? You know what their intentions were, but not necessarily what they are. A lot of people are in a semi zombie state, and then their intentions are different, even though they look the same and they sound the same. So Trump is going to have to look at whoever it is that he's negotiating with, or talking to, or could be talking to, not in Iran, but in Israel, and use his incredible psychic abilities to detect, is this the same quality person? Or is this the physical of the person, but there's a quality there that's not what it used to be? And if Trump finds that the quality is not what it used to be, then Trump is going to have to accept that who he's been talking to, or who would push themselves forward to talk to him now, are not what they were, and are not to be, whatever it is that they say is not to be honored, because it will put us in a bad place. So basically, what I'm talking about here, apparently, is the zombie issue. People are not the same. And if you follow my chats in English, which sometimes we put up in podcasts, the whole Adam Schiff and my handler, the people that Adam Schiff is controlling, I would like to say the word was controlling, is controlling. A lot of them were good people. They're not the same people anymore because they've been mind controlled. So the whole zombie issue is up, and it requires that you not make actions based on old assumptions and old behavior. Okay. You should know the astrological sign of all the important players in your life. Just a little joke. Yesterday I did in Spanish the horoscopes, and the dictator of Venezuela is Sagittarius. I've never really liked Sagittarius that much. Turns out that I'm a lot like them. Haven't we heard that before? But what I saw, and I wasn't doing astrology for him, I was doing Sagittarius, all Sagittarius, was a person sitting on a chair that was like a throne, but it had controls in the arm where you rest your arm. And all of a sudden it took off. It was up in the air and it took off. And I don't know if the person was saying, okay, I got away from them. I'm not exactly sure. And then it was thinking of where it was going to land, whether in Bermuda, in Nigeria, or in another place, which may be the places where he's considering landing. So if you apply my astrology to the leaders or important people, in this case, the dictator of Venezuela, he's sitting on a golden throne. He doesn't want to be there. We already know that. Everybody knows that. So people around him. And then he jettisons himself out. So maybe we'll have some interesting happenings this week. Trump is Gemini. Kamala, Libra. Even she doesn't appear to be that important anymore. Okay. Elon Musk is Cancer. I'm Cancer. The United States is Cancer. I don't know the astrology of what their signs are of Israel and Iran, but that might be interesting to look at. Okay, so let's start. Aries. Aries is a male sign, and it's a fire sign. Um, Aries, for this week, you honestly really don't know what to do. You're looking around, you're jingling the coins in your pocket, which obviously you don't feel is enough. It's actually not enough for your plans, but you're looking around. You want guidance. You want somebody to tell you where do I go? I mean, don't just leave me here hanging. Huh, Aries, you don't like anybody to tell you what to do, and all of a sudden you want somebody to tell you what to do because you're confused. Lots of options. Okay, so I'm going to give Aries a mantra. Even though I'm confused and don't know what to do, I love and accept myself. That's a Fox purification mantra. That's a vacuum cleaner. It's not an it's not an affirmation of the confusion. Okay? Um, let's continue on to the next one. Taurus is a female sign and it's an earth sign. Taurus. You're in an absolute rage. I see you getting into your car. You're in a rage. I mean, a rage. Tauruses are very emotional. They can be very angry, full, tantrums, rages, throwing things. You're going out of your house. You're getting into a car. You're parking someplace. You're crying, screaming, ranting and raving. And you get out of the car. You collect yourself and you go to speak to somebody that you've been wanting to talk to for a long time, but to talk to sincerely, to say the truth, which is not good, but it will free everyone. And from that point, new choices can be made, Taurus. So Taurus has been stuck in this, I need to do this. I know I need to do this. I'm not going to do it. No, it's too hard. I'm not going to do it. This back and forth is the reason why Tauruses are susceptible to Parkinson's. Parkinson's, the neck moves, but it has to do with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of, yeah, I'm going to do it. You know what? No, I'm not going to do it. Should I do that? No, I'm going to do that. So if you're a Taurus, pay attention. Let's prevent the Parkinson's. Make a decision and then do what everybody else does. It didn't turn out right. You make a new decision. You could even say, hey, I made a mistake. Oh my God, Taurus, you could actually say, I made a mistake. And guess what? Everybody you're saying it to has made a zillion mistakes too. Just do it. You're going to get sick. If you have not already made yourself mentally ill, you're going to get sick. Do it. Okay, continuing on to Gemini, which is an air sign and it is a male sign. Gemini. That person is saying, I don't want to be here, but I have to stay. And the Gemini has apparently a lot of stuff that they have to figure out, take care of, do. And so what they're doing this week is they're raising above it all the things that keep us all reacting all day long and looking from up there and then going, okay, what decision should I make? And in 50 years from now, what is that going to look like? So Gemini normally is caught up in many different projects. I'm Cancer Gemini. I have a lot of Gemini, a lot of different things, a lot of them don't get finished. But in this case, this week, Gemini is saying, I can't get caught up in all of that. I need to get a bigger picture perspective of what's going on and see what the effect is going to be long term. Our president is Gemini. So this for me is music to my ears, that he's not just doing business as usual. And he is looking to see the effect of what his decisions are. We already know that he's precariously positioned having to do with what's going on in the Mideast. So it makes sense in the sense that he knows he has to make an important decision. The good news is he's rising up to a much higher spiritual level. By the way, the Merkaba, which is the two triangles that come together, are the galactic vehicle. I'm not going to explain that now, but I'm remembering that when I did this in Spanish, that the triangle that points down, which is the spiritual triangle, in Gemini, the point touches the ground, which it doesn't touch the ground. It reaches to like the knees, but it basically is saying the determination of the Gemini to make a decision based on taking into consideration the spiritual aspects, which means the other dimensions. Spiritual is not, you can be, if you're a black magician, you're very spiritual. You don't have great intentions, in my opinion, but you're very spiritual. Do not mistake. When they use the word spiritual, has nothing to do with being good people. Okay? Nothing to do with being good people. Has to do with being very able in the other dimensions. Continuing on, Cancer is a female sign and a water sign, which means lots of emotions. So I'm Cancer. We can be miserable. we look at things and we see the negative that could happen, and other people see the positive, and we're like, no, but didn't you notice this? That's cancer. The United States is cancer. I'm cancer. Elon Musk is cancer. Colombia is cancer. Probably a lot of other countries. um so cancer, female, water. I see you in the water, but I've seen this a lot, but not lately. And you've got binoculars on, and you're in the water up to here, and you've got the binoculars, and you're checking. You're checking. Yeah, we have a lot of paranoia cancers. We're checking, and the coast looks clear. So, okay, so can I get out of the water where there are people? And then a bird comes and actually lands on your shoulder. And the bird has something in its mouth that it's giving to the cancer, and the cancer understands that cancer can get out of the water now and approach the land, and it's going to be okay. Interesting. Very interesting. United States is cancer. Elon Musk is cancer. Ah, that is interesting. Okay, Leo is a male sign and a fire sign. Leo, what do we need to know for you this week from the 16th to the 22nd? You're feeling a lot better. You're looking out in the world and you're going, God, what a mess. Why do they do that? Leos are very, they can be very elegant. Why are they doing that? And then you have Leo has the symbol of the mind control program, which is an apple. I've never dared to say that before, but the apple is a symbol of the military mind control program. Remember what happens? You take a bite out of it, and then she falls asleep, and then whatever. They put you to sleep, and then they call up other subpersonalities. And the Leo has an apple in his hand, and he looks at it, and he's ready to take a bite, and he goes, "No," and he throws it away. So I don't know how that could possibly apply to as many people as it needs to apply to for it to be valid. But basically, what it's saying is that the Leo is has perspective on the craziness on the planet. Yes, was programmed maybe just by his parents, the school he went to, his religion, and he's dropping that. So this is a really positive read for Leo because it kind of positions Leo to where they're supposed to be. Leos are perfectionists. They like to do things well, and they like to help people. They have big hearts. Continuing on, Virgo is a Mexico is Virgo. It's a difficult sign. It's a female sign and it's an earth sign. Their addiction to perfection basically does not allow them to have a life. They don't have a life because they're so busy seeing at everything that they didn't do perfectly. But there is no perfection. Therefore, they're never going to have a life until they resolve that. Virgo, what's going on? Virgo, you're in this hole, which I see you in too often. You're buried in your element, the earth, which means you can't move, you can't make a decision. Suppose it's the wrong one. And you've got a shovel and you're looking for something and you're looking for something, and you get all the way down and you find an emerald ring. And you lift it up and you go, bingo. Emerald is a stone that protects from the bad alien spirits. Now, why this would apply to Virgo, I don't know. I don't need to question myself. This is the information. Oh, I get it now. Virgo, Earth, digging even deeper to the level of crystals, but really digging deeper into Earth. And remember in the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, not the ones we were taught, that's not the Lord's Prayer. That's a bastardized version of it to keep us submissive. The real Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, before they did their disinformation translation, says, it doesn't say deliver us from evil, it says, help us to be in the present, which means grounded, landed, ground, earth. So the Virgo, uh, excuse me a second. Please call back. I'm waiting for a call. I never get calls. Actually, nobody ever contacts me, but whatever. In case that is the one call I'm waiting for. So, so the Virgo does make sense. What the Virgo is saying, we need to get even more grounded and landed. And the hint is the emerald, which is protection against bad spirits. And we go back to the whole, what I read on Saturday or Friday about the United States, about Trump in the United States. And I'm going to read it now. Will I be able to find it easily? I think it's important. Okay, so give me a second. Because, okay, this is what I read on Saturday or Friday. Trump has had to create changes in the most industrialized nation in the middle of a planetary crisis where the real crisis is a galactic war. Trump cannot discuss that as the American population is not ready. So he's limping and moving forward without being able to explain. That kind of is making sense of the whole Iran thing, where they want to be more spiritual. Oh, darn, that makes sense now. The Iran read. They want to be more spiritual. Spiritual is other dimension. Alien invasion is other dimensions. And then we have Israel. Their religion is very, very much based on the physical dimension, power and the physical. Well, you want to know what, guys? That's the thing of the past. That's the whole Mayan thing. The world as we knew it no longer exists. So they want their world to continue to exist, and we have Iran trying to become more spiritual, which I think means preparation for invasions, galactic invasions. And Trump is doing the same thing. And people can talk about it because people aren't ready, because they're still afraid of that eye on the dollar bill. And they do not remember, I'm sorry, about this. Am I sidetracking? No. Why do you think they did that to Jesus Christ? Nobody ever asked that question. You love the founding fathers when it comes to quoting the Constitution, but you can't stand them when it comes to, oh my God, they were Freemasons. Other dimensions, limping. Wow. I am so glad I did this in English. Okay. Now we're going to Libra. I'm in shock about the thing with Iran. I'm in shock. Oh, wow. Back on track. I use my discipline to unhook from that incredible piece of information. Iran. Oh, see, I don't want to get off of it. Okay, bye. We'll do the rest tomorrow. Okay. Libra is an air sign and it's a male sign. Libra, Kamala, it's Libra. Libra. They can be a bit airy and they always sound good. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. In other words, it kind of, Libra. Libra is getting the receipts. Libra has receipts. Libra has proof of stuff. So Libra is sitting at a table across from somebody, I don't know who that person is, and is saying, look, excuse me, look, I was promised this. Well, blah, blah, blah. Proof. Hey. So Libra is standing up and defending themselves in terms of something that was promised. And how that's going to play out, I have no idea. Um, I actually don't even find it interesting. I do find it interesting that Kamala went to the university in Canada where the CIA funded god awful mind control experiments where they would take people that were in the hospital because of depression and they would put tapings on for days. They turned the people into crazy people. Um, but it was bad enough that there was a settlement made with the families of these people, but it was at McGill University. And I found it interesting that she went to McGill University. Continuing, Scorpio. Scorpio is a really interesting sign. It's a female sign and it's water. Scorpio is all about karma. But Scorpio is about you getting your karma, even though you hopped and skipped so much you were able to avoid it. Not with a Scorpio around. A Scorpio is going to put it in your face. They will do anything, not consciously. They're very spiritually evolved. They are going to trick you, knock you down, get you pregnant and leave, um, steal all the money from your cash box because you didn't pay enough attention. They will, whatever, to wake you up. But let's see what this week holds for them from the 16th to the 22nd of June, 2025. Scorpio generally doesn't talk that much. They don't confront people that much. Their shenanigans are done behind the scenes in silence, under a veneer, whatever. But in this case, it's almost like I see a Scorpio sitting in the press room in the United States, and somebody is saying something, a reporter, and Scorpio has a needle in his hand, and he's popping the balloon, like in the cartoons, and somebody says something and they put it in this little bubble, and he's popping everybody's bubble. And the leader of the news conference, and of course, because of mind control programming, I'm not going to remember her name, this beautiful woman that's in charge of the press every morning. She's getting ready to say something, but she looks at the Scorpio and go, not going to do that. So Scorpio from here forward is going to keep people honest in their communication, or they better not say anything at all, because Scorpio is going to pop the bubble right there in front of everybody. Let's continue on to the next. By the way, Miami Scorpio is all about karma. Miami is like the Wild West, and political karma of this country is very tied to the people in Miami. So Miami as a city and the people that are here without being aware of it have determined to trash the politicians in Washington, trash them to such an extent, and it become public. I may be one of the people that's doing that, to where you go, what are we doing? It's really not about Miami. It's about Washington and the politicians and stuff that happens behind the scenes. But Miami is Scorpio. Maybe a lot of you just wanted your little personal horoscope having to do with your girlfriend or your bank account. I'm sorry. You probably won't enjoy my chats, which I try to do Monday through Friday at 7. Sometimes I skip a day if it gets very heavy or if it's not really news, but you'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel called Francis Fox English. Next, Sagittarius. Okay, this is the dictator of Venezuela. Let me see what images I get this time. What storyline? It's the same thing. There's a room, there's a man people are yelling and screaming at him. They're trying to make decisions, and the man is like, "Oh, okay, 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 okay. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I need to be able to think." He goes into a room and he pulls out a gun and he's almost considering killing himself. So he's there with his gun, almost like, "I'll kill myself or I'll kill them." And then he decides to do neither one of them, and he goes out a window and he just leaves them behind. Which basically, when I did Sagittarius yesterday in Spanish, it was him being on a chair and he jettisons up to get away with what everybody is demanding around him. And from there, he's going to another country. So it matches different images. This is interesting for me to do this comparison. Different images, but the concept the same. Fighting with the people around him, having to make a decision because he's not going to go back to that group, which means he has to leave. So I don't know of any countries that are Sagittarius. Capricorn is a female sign and it's an earth sign. Capricorn, what can you expect? Where are you going to be at this week? 16th to 22nd, 2025. I keep going back to the Iran and the spiritual and then connecting the dots to the invasion, to planetary invasion, which is spiritual. Oh my God. Back in formation, Francis. Capricorn has his guns and his rifles ready. He's cleaning his rifle. He feels that he's going to need the rifle is going to be better because it will be probably the enemy. He's going to be able to see the enemy coming. So I guess if somebody's way over there, the gun is not so good, but a rifle is. I'm just reading. And he feels, Capricorn feels pretty satisfied. He's ready. No more illusions. The truth is the truth. No more illusions. And then I see him thinking, when this is all over, whatever it is, I'm well positioned. I'm not going to get picked up by the police. I haven't done anything wrong. Um, I'm still stable. My bank account, my world is still stable. So when all of this chaos is over, I'm well positioned. I'm going to be able to continue moving forward. That's very valid because Capricorns are planners. They think ahead. They want to take care of their family, their people. They don't want to take care of everybody. They want to take care of their people. And so to be in a place of what appears to be potentially extreme danger, the Capricorn is thinking about next and is pleased with what they're saying. That's good. Capricorns are good people. It's my polar opposite. My husband was Capricorn, and I had two boyfriends that were Capricorn. And it makes a very big difference having to do with compatibility. It is not the only thing, but it does make a difference. So continuing on, we have Aquarius. Aquarius, age of Aquarius, well, they're not such happy people at this point because we're really just getting into the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is a male sign, it's an air sign. And I don't know why I'm saying that. Aquarius, don't take LSD. You're never going to come back. I don't know why I said that, but I needed to say that. I don't know of anybody who's Aquarius that does drugs. But continuing. Aquarius. Aquarius, I see you locked in a room and you're just bouncing off the walls. You're actually better than you were yesterday. You're not doing anything. You're not going anyplace. You're not reaching any conclusion. You're not accepting anything. You're just like a racquetball in your head. And you're not really maybe even doing anything because I see you in a room. And if somebody tries to come in, you shoo them away. So I think you're in your head and you're trying to figure things out. And it's in a lot of things that maybe you should have figured out before and you didn't. And so now you have to do it all at once. But I think I'm not supposed to think. What do I see? the Aquarius is saying, I can't do this anymore. Whatever it is that they're doing, they can't do it anymore. There has to be change. Okay, last sign is Pisces. Pisces is the most evolved of all the signs. They have been in too many incarnations when they have seen injustices and unfairness and people crying and horrible things. So they come into this incarnation, they wake up and they go, oh my God, I'm here again. And they shut down. So astrologers say they put themselves in a box. So you're with them, but you're not really with them because they're not really here. They're severely disassociated. Um, this is a generic description. So today, Pisces, oh my God, you have a gun and you're holding it up and you're twirling whatever it is where the bullets go in, and you're kind of like liking the feeling that the power the gun gives you, or that you feel you've acquired with that gun in your hand. And then I see you leaning over a banister, and there's somebody there, kind of like calling, hey, come on, and you go and you're holding up the gun and going, yeah, give me a minute more. You're showing your gun to somebody that wants to talk to you. So I would say that Pisces is probably dealing with somebody that may have until now been able to bully Pisces, but they will not be able to bully Pisces anymore, because Pisces not only is finding their power and additional firepower, they are showing it, and they are indicating that they could use it. There's going to be a lot more respect for Pisces from here on out. So that's good news. So then that's it. Those are the horoscopes, remote viewed. I'm not an astrologer. Um, you should check and see if you have black magic, because maybe there's great stuff, because a lot of signs are going into greatness, such as Cancer. Trump is a Cancer. The United States is Cancer. So the planets are supporting really good stuff for Cancer. I don't know your sign, who's ever looking. Your country, I have no idea. Are you compatible with your country? I have no idea. Or with your city. Um, this is so the influence of what's going on, the influence of the energy of your country in terms of your destiny is so huge that I have to say it through a story. I was sitting in a conference room with a lawyer. We were waiting to sign some papers having to do with a property I had purchased. This was many years ago. So she said, well, what do you see about me? Whatever. And I said, da, da, da. And I said, I see a lot of Greek energy. I said, I don't get this. I said, I see 60 months of Greek energy in you. And she looked at me like this. And I said, I don't know. 60 months, that's 5 years. Oh, she said, I know what that is. I said, great, tell me. She said, for 5 years, literally 5 years, I went to lunch in the Greek uh, section of the downtown of my city. And I would take food home. Anyway, if you happen to be in a plane, you're pregnant, and you have to land in a country, and you deliver the child there, and you go ahead and pick up the child 3 days later, 1 day later, 2 hours later, you hop on the plane, you're gone, that child has the energy of that country. I was born in Germany. My father was Cuban, my mother was German. So the German side of me is very strong. And I did not know that my mother was German until I was 50 years old. But it's transference of energies is very important. Okay, so that's it. And I will try to do this again next week. And please take the time to decipher the energies of Israel, Iran, and the United States. We're hitting up again the issue of planetary invasion, which I've been dealing with my followers for 3 years, because you are invaded usually personally via an opening next to the left ear. And that same opening, when it is invaded, the people are bipolar, alcoholics, drug addicts, murderers, rapists, because once this is broken, the good guys do not come in, the good spirits do not come where they're not invited, but the bad spirits pile on. They come in. So to have an entire planet invaded by these people explains the images of the apocalypse. Thank you for joining me. And every once in a while, tune in to our podcast chat. Thank you.